Good evening. Thank you for tuning in on this Monday night. We have a great show tonight with a special guest to talk about protecting your assets, succession planning, and building corporate identity. But we're going to begin by defining or talking about corporate culture. By the way, yesterday I was with a friend before we got started, and she was talking to me about how she got so frustrated because she's been wanting to open a business, a life skills business, but she didn't know how to do it. And I figured, wow, this is kind of like what our mission is with this radio show. It's just trying to get the word out there on how to get help in opening business. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that if you're tuning in and it's something that you've been wanting to do, is start a business, just call me or call the show, call Johan and ask for my number, and we'll definitely get you help on how to get started, okay? All right, corporate culture. It's really defined as the beliefs and practices associated with a particular corporation. There are other interpretations. To me, it's really the identity and the principles of your company. It's the set, the values, the guidelines that you start for your company. Of course, the question is having a company culture vital to your success? I think the answer to that is definitely yes, and I'll have somebody who will validate that later. Culture is what defines your mission statement and your core values for your company. It shapes how your leaders will treat their people and how people will treat their clients and one another. Culture gives your company identity, something your people can be very proud of, and it promotes unity. Here are some advantages of having a great company culture and some examples of companies that have great culture. So the first thing would be smoother recruiting and hiring process, better onboarding, and increased retention. A great example of this is Zappos. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Zappos. It's an online company. And it even starts with their receptionist. And so, for example, not a lot of people know this, but when you come in for an interview, the receptionist is actually evaluating you already, if you were nice to them or not. That kind of sets the tone. Because culturally, they love people who are very service-oriented, who are great with one another. So they hire according to cultural fit. They know exactly what they're looking for in candidates. It's easier for them to train these people because they have consistency on who you bring aboard. And then they're happy with their job, so they stay. The next thing would be elevated productivity or employee development. Good examples of this company is Adobe and Ritz-Carlton. They're known for giving Adobe is known for giving their employees challenging projects. They trust them. They do not micromanage them. They are a creativity company, so they allow their people to be creative, of course. Employees are given stock options, so they do have both stake and reward. Of course, they strive to do better because they want more. Ritz trusts their people to do the right thing when customer service is concerned. One of the best customer service stories I've ever heard, there was a Ritz-Carlton manager, for example, and one of their main good clients left their presentation. It was too late to overnight it because they really needed it by that morning. That manager flew to Hawaii and brought that presentation to that client. And got in the plane and flew right back. That's amazing customer service. They trust and allow their people to make decisions. Another one is well-defined goals. A good example of this is Southwest Airlines. Southwest Airlines has been around for 43 years, but yet the company has managed to communicate their vision and their goals in a way that makes them unified. They also trust their people to go the extra mile to make customers happy, and their people are convinced of a larger common goal, which makes them excited to be part of Southwest. It enhances company brand. A good example of this is REI, the outdoor store. It's actually a co-op, so each of them, everybody benefits pretty much, members and owners. Employees give life to their purpose. They hire outdoors-oriented employees that immerse themselves with the company culture. They have challenge grants for the employees if to do outdoor adventures, and they have town hall style meetings so employees can communicate with their leaders. Increased work harmony. I cannot think of two better companies as an example for this than Disney and Google. People just enjoy coming to work. Happiest place on earth, right? Yeah. But the way they foster, in fact, I have a niece who used to work for Disney. That was about 20 years ago, and up to now, she is still feels like she's still part of Disney. She still talks about Disney all the time. A big supporter of Disney, and always goes to Disney. Now, on the other side, here are some signs that your company needs culture. So some of the companies that don't have culture, they have no core values to guide them. There's a lot of gossiping around the office or office politics. Very unfriendly employee competition. You could see that especially in sales where it's really cutthroat and everybody's just, undercutting everybody. Tardiness or absences is prevalent. Unhealthy habits such as no lunches, no culture fit, and then, of course, high turnover. Little promotions or hiring from within, and then there's a lot of public criticism. So that's what culture is in a nutshell. We could spend an hour talking about culture if it's really, and give you better examples. But it's only a 30-minute show, so we have to cut it there. But culture truly is important when you're building your company. All right. When we come back, we're going to talk to our special guest. So stay tuned.
Just like a friend from back home.
This is your Filipino radio experience in Las Vegas. PHLV Radio.
PHLV Radio.
Welcome back. All right. I'm very excited tonight because I have one of my closest friends as my guest for tonight. His name is William Manalo. He is the owner, CEO of Shuttlemed. William, actually, I'm going to let you talk about your business. Tell us about your business, how long you've been, what do you do, pretty much.
All right. Hey, Sonny, thank you so much for inviting me to your forum, to your show. I was very surprised that you have a forum like this one. And for me to be included with that, it's such an honor. I've known Sonny, for you guys who don't know, in late 80s when we were about 5 years old. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm not going to date ourselves, but he's a very good friend, very close to our family. For our viewers, thank you for having me. Yes, my company is called Shuttlemed Inc., and we are located here in Orange County, California, in Anaheim, right very close to Disneyland. What we do is we transport patients in general. So all our trips are medical related. We bring them to their dialysis treatments, to doctor appointments, to and from the hospital, different type of treatments, discharges, nursing homes. So in essence, in 2003, my brother and I started the company with our aunt who introduced us to the industry. And I give a lot of credit to her for providing us the guidance for the first couple of years. So, we started with one van, with one vehicle, and we were able to grow that to 35 vehicles over the years. Yes, we were affected with the pandemic, just like any business or healthcare, but, lo and behold, we're still here. I'm very happy to be able to provide services to those who are in need. And I know Sonny probably has more questions for me, but I'm more than happy to give you details if you'd like.
Well, it's fascinating. For those listening, William actually is the one that gave me that inspiration about when we were young and he was thinking about starting his business. He would always used to tell me, most Filipino families, they encourage their kids to get into getting a good job, be a doctor, be a lawyer, but not a lot about, hey, start your own business and become bigger. And that always resonated with me. So my first question is, who encouraged you to get into business, and what made you really want to start a business?
Yeah, thanks for that question. My family has been in the business world for quite a long time, and that really stems from my father. And I believe that came from him. But at the same time, I didn't shy away from working for a company, a corporation, because I believe the structure, or probably the things I needed to learn, was maybe on a big corporate culture, that I can learn about structure. And eventually, I always had hopes when I was younger to have my own company. Now, whatever that would be, I didn't know. I just wanted to own something, to be able to build from the ground up, and one day, hopefully, to share that with my family and be proud of it. And that's the journey. The reward of any business is really in the journey. It's not where you end up at. A lot of people, Sunny, as you know, just like what you said, because this is the road less traveled. You start a business, you don't know what your income is next month or in 1 year. So you figure, if you're not necessarily just passionate, you have a goal in mind, you will pursue that business until the end of time, to your own satisfaction. And the hard work that you will put in will really show after years and years of putting a lot of time and effort with it. And that is not without the support of, especially if your family. And my wife logged in here. She's my biggest supporter. She logged in here. I don't know if she's supposed to be on this call, but she's listening in. And that's not without the support of your family, especially your spouse, and your children, who knows what you want to do with your life and your business. So really, that's my inspiration on being an entrepreneur and starting my own business.
Well, hi, Jaron. You're logged in, so I got to say hi to you, of course. All right. No, look at you now. Look at what you were able to accomplish with that. It's a great start. That said, what would your best advice be to a young entrepreneur now? I talked earlier about a friend of mine who was getting frustrated because she didn't know what to do. She had an idea, but she was kind of stuck there.
Okay. An idea is only an idea until it's acted upon on, right? So my advice to people, whether they're young or old, starting a business, especially sometimes starting a business that's not in their industry. I started with this business with I mentioned earlier, with my brother as well as our aunt. I didn't have dreams of transporting when I was young, right? It was a business that I knew that was much needed, because we understood there's a baby boomer economy. There's people who need the service. So we thought, hey, let's go into this business. Now, my advice to people who would like to enter the business world is, number one, you have to be patient. Okay, you have to be patient, but you have to keep working on your craft, because it can take you maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, just like our situation, when eventually we turned a profit into the business. But we knew those first and second years that our service was important, and we were able to hire people to do the service. We just didn't have the luxury of having a lot of funding, so we had to fund it ourselves. But we knew that our service was going to be needed in the long run. So I would say, number one is you have to be patient. Okay, you have to be patient. Number two, you have to keep learning your craft. I entered the medical transportation world. It's almost like an ambulance, but we don't have the sirens. I knew the hard work was in there. Other than the patience, I had to put in the hard work along with my business partners. We drove the vans. We knew everything from ground up. I didn't complain if I had to, be the one who had to clean our office. We didn't have any janitorial work, people at that time. You have to be able to work hard. At the same time, do not complain. You cannot complain to your business partner. You cannot complain to yourself, right? So the people that around you, especially your employees, will only copy what you do. If they see that you're doing the grunt work and the work that they're doing, they'll have a lot of respect for you. So if you are in that position where you're going to have employees, or if you're just going to be working for yourself, so two things, being patient, working on your craft, right? And I guess I added on there that you do have to put in the hard work first, because later on, all that hard work that you paid in the beginning will pay off.
That's great advice. That's really good advice. I'm going to pivot here a little bit. And my opening monologue was really about culture. And when you describe me the things that you've done for your company, you have a very good culture in your company. So, of course, it's perfect that I'm going to ask you about it. So, tell me about your company. How did you develop your company culture?
Well, that's a good question, Sunny. When you're a startup and now you're employing people, right? The leadership that you can bring in is only as good as, because you cannot earn respect, or I would say you cannot buy respect. You earn it from the people that are around you, right? You earn it from the actions that you do. So I mentioned earlier that I worked for a couple companies, and then the one before we started the business actually laid me off because, not because I didn't do the work correctly. It's because our company was being moved to another state and I chose not to follow. So, but from that company, I learned a lot of good things. Is they took care of their people, which I ended up transferring to our company now. I took care of our people. Number one, I respected them. Number two, I knew there's things that I had to reward them to make them feel important on their work. So, we gave them nice jackets and things like that because, hey, they work on the field, right? Our drivers. We feed them maybe like once when we have a milestone within the company. We will give them, company parties, not just during the Christmas time. We will also do rewards in a sense, like because we are, we drive people for a living in terms of their medical appointments. We give them rewards when we have no accidents within the company for 90 days. They get a gift card. If you are one of the top drivers, because we have a program within their vehicles that they can tell if they are good drivers, they don't speed, they don't brake hard. They don't idle the vehicles just kind of sitting there in the parking lot doing nothing. So those things get tracked. So I have a program within our company where I reward the drivers on a scoring basis, on a quarterly basis. If they're scoring high, it gives them knowledge that, number one, hey, if you're doing a good job, you're going to be rewarded. If the whole group is doing a good job and not having accidents or incidents, the entire group gets rewarded. So those are things that myself and my brother thought about over the years, is that we have to engage our employees. At the same time, when I mentioned we do have nice Christmas parties, I believe on the end of the year, and we give them trophies. We recognize them if they have not called in sick or been absent for an entire year. They get a trophy. They get a gift card for that. We recognize them when they do something out of the ordinary for our clients. So I believe those things that you create within your culture, because I think any company can have a certain amount of turnover if they have a belief within the company that they are being appreciated. Number one, just not being an employee, but as a person, that brings out a lot, and that allows us to keep them, a low turnover within our company. They have an open door policy. We have an open door policy, so they can come speak with myself and my brother for most work type issues, and sometimes we become like their I would say their parents, because they also come to us with their personal relationships, and I think that's not a bad thing, because I think that means they can come to us because they feel like we can give them not just mentorship, we can give them personal advice that they may not be able to seek from other people. So that's why I think building your own culture, and I don't know that different management styles will give you your own culture. You have to create that on your own. It's okay to copy, like what I did. You copy another company if you've worked there before. You kind of see what, hey, I felt good when I used to work for that company. Now I'm starting my business. I think I can transfer that over, or maybe just tweak it a little bit, that you can see over time. You kind of experiment with different rewards and different recognition. But I believe it's very important to what we call EPR your employees, right? Encourage, praise, and recognize. And that goes a long way, not just for employees. You do that to your family members. Watch, you'll have a different way of how they look at you.
Yeah, I'll test that with Jennifer tonight, so we'll see. Actually, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to test the benefits of having culture with you. So Profitability, I know you're doing well, so we're not going to go there. You're doing great. Talk to me about turnover. Has it really helped re- put down your turnover? And then tell me, how long have your people mostly stayed with you?
Wow. Turnover in the beginning, there was a lot.
Mhm.
There was probably higher than it is now. We have employees that have been with us. I mentioned we started in 2003. So we
Mhm.
have employees, I would say, on top of my mind, two or three that have been with us since 2004.
Okay.
Mind
Wow.
you, 2003 was only my brother and I
Yeah.
because the company was just barely getting off the ground and we were doing everything, right? We're doing 10 people's jobs. But we have, yeah, employees that's been around with us for, um, I would say now 19 years,
Wow.
17,
There you
18 year
go. You got
plus since
longevity.
almost the beginning. Yeah, and those I take to heart because that means there's something that my brother and I are doing good, right? My brother and I, because we co-share a lot of our responsibilities, are doing well. That they stay with us. They become like family. But there's always that, you know, you have to be able to also have that connection or disconnection between personal and then also being professionally with them. So that's hopefully I answer your question. And for the most part, yeah, most of the people that we do have turnovers is either one they move out of the service area or out of the state, and they no longer work for us. But for the most part, on the average, probably we have 5 to 8 years as far as most of our employees.
That's great. That's great. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about succession planning, exit strategy, and protecting your assets with trust. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Just like a friend from back home.
This is your Filipino radio experience in Las Vegas. PHLV Radio.
PHLV Radio.
All right, welcome back, William. Thank you again for being with us tonight. All right, let's talk about a little bit about succession planning. Why is that so important for all business owners?
So we are now entering 20th year in the business,
Mhm.
and I'm very proud that we reached this length in business because when we started, I said, man, if we last for 5 years, it'll be like it'll be an achievement. But we've now been able to last this long and still going forward. But things can change. We all know the last 2 years, a lot of things have changed, whether personally or professionally for most of us here on this call. So we had things put in place. I don't know. Nobody can guarantee that we all will be here tomorrow, but we all do pray that we will be. Just in case something happens to me, a succession plan is that I'm not sure, although my family and my brother and his wife, we're all pretty close together. But I don't know if something happens to me, my wife will be able to continue on. I don't know if she wants to do this business with my brother. I don't know if she would like to do the business at all. Although she has helped me a lot, but doing some of the day-to-day things like that, we just don't know. So we had put in place where my brother and I had planned this a couple of years ago. Like, hey, if something happens, our wives through what we call a buy-sell agreement. Something happens to me, then we had purchased some insurance business policies where my wife will be, in a sense, bought out by the company as a majority owner. She will still retain some, but not as a majority owner. But then she'll be fine with that what we call the buy sell, because she will receive a certain amount of money for me not being around anymore,
Mhm.
right? At the same time, it's very good to plan. We, most of us business owners, we know how to do the business. We know how to make money. We know how to deal with employees, but then we're forgetting about the retirement that we're supposed to be preparing for, because we don't belong to a company that puts the 401k for us, although we do have that within our company. But you have to make your own retirement plans. So we also have what we call a key man person. Something happens to me, now my brother has the bear of running the company, right, Sonny?
Yeah.
And although it's probably going to be a lot of responsibilities, and we're hoping the company doesn't take any hit in terms of revenue loss, because hopefully the things that I do within this company are fairly important. That's why we're still here. But we again have another business policy that it pays the company a big amount of cash flow that will allow him, number one, to figure out what he wants to do without me. Number two, maybe bring another business person, or maybe hire an executive that will help him run the company. All the while, at least the company has funding to go forward. At the same time, possibly pay some debts and things like that we had already planned in the future, but he doesn't have to worry about those things. So those are things that we had planned a couple years ago. But as far as succession, my kids are still fairly young, 18 and 15 years old. Just started college for my daughter, and my son's still in high school. They know what we do. They grew up on it, but I don't know if this is something they're going to do in the future.
Yep.
But it will, the important thing is the funds are there for them to be able to see one day if they're ready. If not, then, for my brother and I, we have agreements on how we're going to continue on. Maybe 5 years from today, we will, if it, 25 years later, and I'm not saying I will not be doing this business any longer, who knows, but 25 years is a long time.
Yeah.
I like Sonny and I, we have other business endeavors, things like that. I might, be ready to sell the company, but at least I know there is something in between before that happens that will allow my family and also my business partner to move on if something happens to either one of us. So I believe that's very important for any business owners on this call is to plan those things that are available for you, as well as don't forget to plan your retirement. Always put money away that works for you. I always say you're a business owner. One day, all the hard work that you do now, you have to kind of have something to show for it, right? You're not bragging. You're not making anything to show off to people. But all those hard work, maybe the 25 years I put into this business later on, I have to show for me that, hey, I was able to save, pay off my home, put my kids to college, have a nice retirement plan, because all those 25 years I put in was really worth it. I put my family in a situation that we don't have to worry about money anymore. And I believe that's any one of us, whether you're a business owner or not, you have to be in that place because if you're a hard worker and you're smart and you don't let your money just go to sleep and you make your money work, one day you'll reap all the benefits. And when you look back, you say, you know what? I think I did most of the right decisions. Not all. We all make mistakes. But for the most part, somebody guided me, somebody helped me. And the decisions personally in business that I made over those years are now finally paying off.
Awesome. There you go. Well, any parting words in regards to trust planning?
Yes. Since you mentioned trust, Sonny, that's also something my wife and I had were introduced to 10 years ago as a business owner, or even if you're just an employed person right now, you have assets to protect. So make sure you also have trust, a living trust that, ties up personally for your assets. If you have a home or, any assets that you put aside, you want to be able to not have the state, the state that you live in, have their money or their handling the probate process. You have a living trust that will help you be able to transfer those assets to your family once something happens to you, whether it just whether you're just planning for your personal your professional career. Make sure you do have a trust. And lastly, I encourage people to be in business if they are in a position to, and you always have to look for, I believe, a mentor that can help you get there. It just makes it easier. When I started with my brother, we had our aunt who guided us on our first year. But then I always look for a mentor. They don't have to be within the same industry as I am, but then it gives you that business mindset because sometimes, you just need a little bit of encouragement, right? You may get that from your family. Maybe sometimes your family is not your biggest cheerleader, okay? And that's not something bad about them. It's just sometimes they just don't understand what you're doing. They don't see what you see. what you want to accomplish. But if you do look for that mentor that can lead you to the right right parts of your business that will help you, always seek for those, because sometimes a good advice will go a long way.
All right, William, thank you very, very much for coming onto the show. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Take care. Bye. We'll be right back.
Just like a friend from back home.
This is your Filipino radio experience in Las Vegas. PHLV Radio.
PHLV Radio.
All right. Thank you so much. I hope you found that very helpful. That was my friend William again. Thank you, William and Jaron, for tuning in. Now, to end the show, we're going to go back to the roadmap, and we're going to talk about networking. That's going to be the next step in that roadmap. And we're going to only do one because networking is huge. Networking is so important because it allows you access to opportunities that you might not be able to find on your own. Now, I know there's a big value. A lot of millennials, a lot of young entrepreneurs always tell me, I want to do things on my own. And I 100% respect that, and believe me, you will. But sometimes it does help when you have a network that helps you get through the door of some opportunities that you have. So if you go on that roadmap and you click on networking, it will give you some networking tips, pretty much. Because there's a lot of different types of networking. And there's networking within a circle of friends or a circle of business people that would help you or guide you. Or maybe, like William said earlier, find a mentor. You be close to somebody you can get tips from. If you see a business that's being ran well, hey, befriend that owner and kind of find out what's his secret sauce. And then you can apply that to your business pretty much. Now, under that networking button, there's 3 different things there. So if you click on the first one, it's networking tips. So that would give you different types of tips of ways to network. See, when you say networking, you should also think about networking with your vendors. So if you have a restaurant business, for example, you want to make sure that you have a great relationship with your vendors. So networking with them. The food people, wine, this is going to be good for you. They're going to tell you what the trends are, what's new, maybe offer something different or a good deal. So there's a lot of different things. How about bankers, CPAs, or your lawyer? You need to network with these people. These will definitely give you a lot of different insights on a lot of different things that you're doing. Having a great relationship with even your credit, for example, credit card is great. Then you can earn the most points that you can get. Pretty much, they'll guide you on how to use your credit well. So clicking on that networking is very, very good. One of the things that you should always remember is business relationships is more than just a Rolodex of people. It's actual relationships of people that you can call, you can have a relationship, but you can refer even, because you don't want to be just always the receiver, right? You also want to be able to give business out to other people. One of the buttons there, that's when it says networking groups, this is what it looks like when it pops out. And there's a lot of different networking groups that's out there. There's the Chambers, there's the Bridgewire, Work in Progress, Urban League, Innovation Center. All of these groups pretty much, when it comes to networking, have the same idea. Networking and building relationships so you guys can pass around business to each other. But some of them do a little bit more, like SBDC. WBC. These are people that would help you and become mentors as well to you. So this is the reason why networking is so important. When you say networking, it's not just a mixer, for example, that you get to know people. Real networking is, yes, going maybe to a mixer, but developing relationships with the key people that will allow you to grow your business. When I say key people, so for example, if you are a restaurant owner, of course, food vendors would be a good one. Banker, just because you might want to open different locations and you need a loan. You want a good CPA to handle your books for you. And then you want the restaurant association or chamber, pretty much, so that they can lobby and help you lobby for items that you need. So those are the importance of having a good network. So there you go. Networking in that tab. Make sure you check that out. There's 3 different things: the networking tips, networking groups, and then the last one is a calendar of events. And we try, business and industry does a good job of trying to put all of the different events in that calendar. But then check out your local groups as well that you like, and see what they have going on. This is where you can see different events that's out there. If there's a mixer, there's a seminar, for example. They might have a seminar on how to get government contracts. That's very helpful if that's one of your goals, to be able to get contracts. Or there might be a seminar on how to become a vendor for the airport. Again, that's another very important thing that you do. So there you go. Hit the roadmap, hit networking, and please explore that. Until next week, have a great week, and see you then.